I never thought I'd be the kind of person to write something like this, but here I am. Maybe it's a warning, or maybe just a way to get this off my chest before I lose my mind. Either way, I need to tell my story. How I found out that the woman I trusted most in the world, my own sister, betrayed me in the worst way possible. And how I plan to make her regret it, even if it takes everything I've got. It started about a week ago. I'd been feeling off, nothing specific, just weird. My wife Lisa and I had been planning our wedding for months. Everything was supposed to be perfect. I was excited, nervous, but mostly happy. I'd been with her for 5 years and I thought I knew her. I thought she was the one. But then the little red flags started popping up. She stopped returning my calls as much. Her texts were shorter. I chalked it up to stress. Maybe she was overwhelmed with work, or maybe she was just busy. But something gnawed at me. I couldn't shake this feeling that something was wrong. Then I saw her phone light up. One night while she was in the kitchen, I caught a glimpse of a name that made my stomach churn: James. That was her best man. I'd never even suspected anything about him. They had always seemed friendly, comfortable around each other, but that was all. I waited. The next day I checked her phone again, secretly. I scrolled through her messages, and what I saw made my blood run cold. They had been texting late into the night, secret messages filled with emojis, flirtatious stuff. Nothing explicit, but enough to tell me she was hiding something. I found a string of messages from the night before our wedding, talking about how it was finally happening, and can't wait to see you tonight. My hands clenched into fists. I felt the world tilt. That night I couldn't sleep. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I knew I had to find out what was going on with James, my best man, my friend, the guy I'd trusted to stand beside me. The truth was worse than I imagined. I found out from a mutual friend that Lisa and James had been seeing each other behind my back for months. I felt like I'd been hit in the gut with a sledgehammer. The morning after I uncovered all this, I decided to confront her. I wanted to hear it straight from her. I called her in the kitchen, voice steady but icy. "Lisa, I need to talk now." She looked nervous, her eyes darting around. "What's wrong? Don't play dumb. I saw your messages. Tell me everything. Were you cheating on me?" My voice cracked just a little, but I kept it under control. My palms were sweaty and my stomach felt like lead. She hesitated. "It's not what you think, it's complicated." "Complicated? That's bullshit. You've been lying to my face for months, about everything, about why you stopped returning my calls, about your relationship with James. I want the truth, or I swear I'll make sure you regret it." She finally broke, tears streaming down her face, but I didn't care. The betrayal was too fresh, too raw. I felt my jaw tight. How could she do this? How could she betray me like that, with my best man, my closest friend? The feeling of betrayal was so deep I could taste it, bitter and metallic, like the taste of blood in my mouth. I knew I needed a plan, something calculated, something that would hit them where it hurts, without crossing the line into outright violence. I wanted to make the fallout unbearable for her, to make her regret every second she thought she could get away with this. I didn't want just a breakup. I wanted to destroy the trust she'd broken, make her feel the way I felt right now, completely betrayed and humiliated. The day I decided on my revenge, I didn't tell anyone. I started collecting everything I could find. Her phone, her emails, some photos I knew about that she'd hidden. I played her words in my head over and over, her voice, her lies. I was seething, but I knew I had to keep my temper in check. I had to be smart about this. My mind was racing with ideas. I'd make sure they both paid the price for what they did. I wasn't going to let her walk away without consequences. I was hurt, yes, but I was also furious, furious enough to ruin their lives if I had to. They thought they could get away with it, thought I wouldn't find out. Well, they were wrong. Now I just had to execute the plan, and I could feel it. This was only the beginning. The real game was about to start, and I was ready to make them regret every single moment they thought they could betray me and get away with it. I'd be the one to come out on top, whether they liked it or not. The plan started taking shape in my head almost as soon as I saw the messages, but I knew I had to be careful. I couldn't just rush in. I needed to gather as much evidence as possible, make sure I had every detail nailed down before I made my move. I couldn't afford mistakes. This was going to hit hard, and I wanted it to count. I spent the next couple of days quietly digging through her social media, emails, and even some of her hidden apps. I wasn't going to leave anything to chance. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through her photos, her texts, searching for anything I could use. It was like peeling back layers of a lie, each piece more painful than the last. I found photos of her and James, taken at some hotel or Airbnb, kissing and holding hands. I could see her face clearly, her eyes closed, her lips pressed against his. I could feel my stomach twist. That image burned into my mind for hours afterward. I also found a receipt for a room key, bought with her credit card from just a few nights ago. I knew I had enough now. Enough to make her understand that I wasn't just some fool who got played. I also discovered she had been deleting messages, but I'd taken screenshots of everything I could find. Every lie, every betrayal. I felt a strange mix of numbness and boiling anger. It was like all the blood in my veins had turned to ice, then suddenly boiled over. That evening, I sat in my car outside her house, staring at the window where she was probably getting ready for bed. My heart thundered against my ribs like I'd run a marathon. I clenched the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white, and I whispered to myself, "This ends tonight." I had to make her see the damage she'd done, make her regret every second. She thought she could get away with it. My plan was simple but brutal in its subtlety. First, I'd confront her, but not with anger. No, that wasn't going to work. I wanted her to realize she was cornered, that I knew everything. Then, I'd set the stage for the final act. I'd confront James, tell him I knew about their affair, and make him realize I had evidence that could ruin him too. They'd both believe I was naive or blind, but I'd be the one holding all the cards. I parked a few houses down, watching her through a window as she moved around. When she finally went to bed, I slipped my phone out, recording a message I'd planned. Calm, controlled, but with enough steel behind my words to make her understand I wasn't messing around. "Lisa," I said softly but firmly, "you thought you could do this behind my back and I wouldn't find out. Well, I did. And I have everything I need now. The photos, the receipts, the messages. If you think you can lie your way out of this, think again. I'll be coming to see you tomorrow. And when I do, I want you to remember you're about to lose everything. Your reputation, your marriage, maybe even your family, because I'm done playing nice." I hit send, then stepped out of my car, feeling the cold night air bite into my skin. My stomach twisted again, but this time it was different. It was adrenaline, pure, raw, and ready to explode. The next morning, I woke up early. I didn't eat, didn't shower. I just sat on the edge of my bed with my phone in hand, waiting for the right moment. When she left for work, I knew it was time. I grabbed the evidence I'd accumulated, the photos, the receipts, everything, loaded it onto a USB drive and slipped it into my pocket along with a letter I'd written. Short, direct, to the point. When she came home that evening, I was waiting in the living room. She looked surprised, maybe even a little scared. I didn't say a word at first. I just handed her the USB drive and the letter. "This is everything," I said quietly but with enough edge to make her flinch. "I'm done being played for a fool. You wanted to keep your secrets. Fine. But now everyone's going to see the truth." Her face went pale. "You're crazy. You're overreacting." "Am I? Or am I finally seeing what you've been hiding all along?" I took a step closer. "You thought you could betray me, lie to my face, and I'd never find out. Well, guess what? I found out, and I promise I'm going to make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are, starting with the people you care about most. If you think this is the end, you're dead wrong." She looked like she was about to cry, but I didn't care. I could feel my jaw tightening. The pure, icy fury I'd been holding in for days was bubbling up, and I knew I had to get out of there before I did something I'd regret. I turned and walked out, leaving her standing there, clutching the USB and the letter. I didn't look back. I just knew this was the beginning of the end for her. And for once I felt a strange sense of relief, like I'd finally taken control, even if it was through pain. I had all I needed now. All that was left was to watch it unfold. The next few days felt like walking on razor blades. I kept busy, but the tension in my chest was relentless. Every time I saw her car in the driveway or heard her voice through the walls, my stomach clenched tight. I knew my plan was set in motion, but I wasn't sure what her reaction would be. I'd left the USB sitting on the kitchen table, right where she'd see it when she got home. That was my silent warning, my way of saying, I know everything and I'm not backing down." Her reaction was almost instant. The moment she saw the USB, her face went pale. Her fingers trembled as she stared at it, then slowly she looked up at me with wide, guilty eyes. "What is this? What did you do?" Her voice cracked, but she tried to keep her composure. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. "You know exactly what it is. Everything I've been missing. The texts, the photos, the receipts, all of it. I don't need to guess anymore. You're caught. You and James, you lied to me, betrayed me, and I'm done pretending I don't know." She sank onto a chair, clutching the USB like it was a lifeline. "I didn't mean for it to happen, I don't know, things got complicated, I was stupid. I thought I could handle it, hide it, but I see now I was wrong." "No," I said coldly. "You thought you could hide it from me forever. You played me and you used my best friend to do it. You really thought I'd never find out, that I'd just accept it." Her eyes filled with tears and she looked genuinely broken. But I wasn't about to forgive her so easily. I needed her to understand that this wasn't just a betrayal, it was a complete annihilation of trust. I wanted her to see what she'd lost, what she threw away with one reckless decision. "I want you to understand that I'm not going to let this slide," I continued. "Your loyalty is gone, your reputation is gone, and I'm going to make sure everyone else knows what kind of person you really are. You can't keep pretending this was some mistake. You planned it, you hid it, and you betrayed us all." She looked at me, eyes red and swollen. "Please, just don't do anything. Just give me a chance to explain." "Explain?" I scoffed. "There's nothing left to explain. I have everything I need to destroy what's left of what we had. You're lucky I'm not calling everyone right now. But I want to do this my way. So here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow I'll be telling our friends, our family, everyone who matters. You're going to face the music, and I want you to think real hard about how you're going to fix this, if you even can." Her hands shook as she looked away, silent and defeated. I knew this was just the start, but I also knew I needed to make the next move. The truth was out and she couldn't run from it anymore. I was done hiding my pain and I was ready to make sure she paid for what she'd done. Later that night, I sat alone on the porch, staring up at the sky. The stars looked distant, cold. My fingertips tingled, part from the cold, part from the adrenaline still coursing through me. I knew I'd have to act fast. The evidence was out there now, public enough to do some damage, but I needed to be strategic. I couldn't just drop everything at once. I had to make her regret every choice she made, to make her feel the same heartbreak she'd given me. I pulled out my phone, opening the group chat with a couple of close friends I trusted. I told them everything, what I'd found, what I was planning, and how I wanted them to back me up. Their responses were immediate. "We've got your back," one said. "Let's tear her apart," said another. That was the kind of support I needed. I wasn't about to go through this alone. I needed allies, and I was going to use them. The next morning, I woke up with a plan in mind. I would call her bluff. I'd confront her in front of everyone. I'd invite her to a family dinner, make it seem casual, but then I'd reveal everything. I wanted her to feel the full force of the fallout. I made a few calls, arranged the gathering, and sent her a message. "Come to dinner tonight. We need to talk. It's time you face the truth." Her reply was a simple "okay," but I could tell from her tone that she was already panicking on the inside. As the day dragged on, I felt a strange sense of calm mixed with anger. I was finally taking control of the situation. I'd let her think she was getting away with it, but now I was about to lay everything bare. The moment of truth was coming, and I couldn't wait to see her face when she realized how badly she'd underestimated me. When she arrived in the evening, I was already seated at the table, flanked by a few friends who knew what was happening. Her face fell when she saw everyone there. "What's going on?" she asked, voice trembling. I looked her straight in the eyes. "You know damn well what's going on, and no more lies. Everything you've done is about to come out." She hesitated, but her eyes betrayed her. Her shoulders sagged, and I could see her realizing she was cornered. I clenched my fists. This was about to get messy, and I was ready for it. The room was thick with tension when I finally dropped the bomb. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the big screen we had for family gatherings. All the photos, messages, and receipts I'd collected over the past few days suddenly appeared in front of everyone. The room fell silent, eyes wide, some faces twisting with shock, others with disgust. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. For months, Lisa and James have been lying to everyone. They thought they could hide their affair, but I have the proof right here. I paused, letting the weight of my words settle in. These photos are from a hotel just last week. The messages show how they planned it, how they lied to my face when I asked her what was wrong. And the receipts. They bought the room with her credit card, knowing exactly what they were doing. The silence was deafening. Lisa looked like a ghost, her cheeks flushed, eyes darting around desperately. James, standing awkwardly in the corner, looked like he'd just been caught stealing. I saw him swallow hard, sweat beading on his forehead. I want everyone here to understand, I continued, that I trusted her. I loved her. But she shattered that trust when she decided to betray me with my best man, someone I thought was my friend. And James, don't think I didn't know what you were doing. I saw your messages. I saw the way you looked at her. You both thought I'd never find out, but I did. And now you're going to face the consequences. Her voice trembled as she tried to speak. It's not what it looks like. Oh, shut up, I snapped, cutting her off. You lied to me, you lied to everyone. It's over. You can't spin your way out of this one. She looked like she wanted to disappear, but I wasn't done. I turned to James. And you don't think you're off the hook. This isn't just about her. You threw away our friendship for some sick affair. I trusted you, man. And now everyone's going to know what kind of person you really are. James looked like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. Instead, he lowered his head, eyes fixed on the floor. That was the moment I knew I had him exactly where I wanted, weak, exposed. I've had enough, I said, voice steady but sharply. Edged, tonight I'm sending a message. I paused for effect. This isn't just about winning some petty revenge. It's about making sure they never forget the pain they caused. So I've already contacted 2 people I trust, people who will help me make this final point. I reached into my pocket, pulling out a sealed envelope and a flash drive. In this envelope is everything. The videos, the proof, everything they don't want you to see. The flash drive contains the full recordings of her messages and the receipts I found. I want her to understand this is just the beginning. Her shoulders shook, tears running down her face. Please don't do this. There's still time to fix it. You had your chance. I cut her off again. But now it's over, and soon everyone will know what kind of person you truly are. I stood up, feeling a strange sense of calm. Tonight's the night your lies die with you. As I turned to leave, I saw her wipe her face, her eyes filled with helplessness. James was trying to hide his shame, but I saw the guilt in his eyes. I knew I'd made my point. The fallout was inevitable now. Walking out of that house, I felt a strange mixture of relief and anticipation. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my dignity, about ending the nightmare I'd been living through. I wasn't going to back down. The next step was to let the truth do its work, exposing them to the world. I went straight to the trusted friends I'd mentioned. I handed over the evidence, giving them instructions to start preparing their part of the plan. They knew what to do. This was about making sure the damage was irreversible. I wanted them to feel the full weight of betrayal, the shame that comes with being caught. Now all that remained was waiting for the fallout. I could already hear it, rumors spreading, reactions, the inevitable chaos. I'd done everything I could to ensure that Lisa and James would never walk free from this. The truth was out, and I'd made sure everyone knew. That's what revenge looked like, cold, calculated, and relentless. I sat in my car for a moment, watching the house in the distance. A breeze stirred the trees, and I felt the weight finally lift from my shoulders. I knew I'd done what I needed to do. The pain was still there, but I'd turned it into something stronger, something unbreakable. And from here on out, I was finally free. The aftermath hit me like a freight train. I'd told my friends to start spreading the word to make sure the damage was done. But I didn't expect how fast everything would spiral out of control. Word traveled quickly, and soon enough, I was getting calls and texts from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some were sympathetic, others furious, and a few just outright judgmental. It was chaos, and honestly, I didn't care. I'd done what I set out to do. The night after I revealed everything, I stayed up late, sitting on my front porch, feeling a strange mix of exhaustion and relief. I'd finally done it. And yet the guilt was creeping in, how cold I felt, how calculated. But I pushed it down. I reminded myself that I was hurt, betrayed, and I'd been forced to fight back just to get some sense of justice. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Lisa. I hesitated before opening it. Her words were desperate, pleading almost. She said she was sorry, that she loved me and begged me to forgive her. I stared at the screen, cold fury rising again. I didn't bother responding. I knew that was just her attempt to save whatever was left of her pride. I had already made my choice, and her words meant nothing now. That evening I met with my close friends again. We went over what had happened, what she had done, and what I'd accomplished. One of them looked me in the eye and said, "You know, her falling apart like this, that's what revenge does. It hits where it hurts most and it's brutal, but you have to remember this isn't just about hurting her, it's about healing yourself. You're finally free from her lies." Their words echoed in my mind. I nodded, feeling a little lighter, a little more in control. But I also knew I needed to take one more step. I had to cut all ties, erase her from my life completely. I couldn't keep anyone around who'd hurt me so deeply, not even my own blood. The next day, I went to her place once more. I knocked on her door. When she answered, eyes swollen and red, I handed her a small bag. "This is your stuff," I said, voice flat. "You're not welcome here anymore. I want you to leave and don't try to contact me again." She looked like she was about to protest, but I cut her off. "You betrayed me. You lied, cheated, and shattered everything we had. I can't trust you anymore. This is the end of it." I watched her as she took the bag, tears streaming down her face. I felt a strange sense of finality. I turned and walked away without another word. The house behind me looked smaller, emptier. I finally saw it for what it was, a place that no longer had any meaning. As I drove away, a calmness settled over me. I'd faced everything: confrontation, chaos, heartbreak, and I'd come out the other side. I realized that revenge, while brutal, was also about reclaiming your dignity, about taking back control when everything feels lost. I didn't need her anymore. I was done with her lies. Done with the pain. I was finally free, and I was finally myself again. Looking back, I know it sounds harsh, but I don't regret what I did. It was the only way I could see to make her understand the damage she'd caused, the trust I'd lost, the betrayal of family, of friendship, of love. It all came crashing down, and I had to rebuild, not just my relationship with her, but myself. The takeaway: sometimes the only way to heal is to face the truth head on, to be brutal, honest, and relentless, because the truth has a way of cutting through all the lies, and in the end, that's what sets you free. After all the chaos, the shouting, and the tears, I finally sat alone in my apartment, staring at the empty space where Lisa used to be. Her things were gone, and in their place was silence, deep, almost deafening silence. The kind that makes you reflect on everything you've been through. I'd spent years trusting her, building a life around what I thought was love. Now I saw every moment of that trust shattered like glass. I remember feeling this strange mixture of relief and emptiness. Relief because I'd uncovered the truth, because I'd reclaimed my dignity, and because I finally saw a way forward. But emptiness, because I couldn't help but wonder if I'd gone too far, if revenge had turned into something more destructive than I realized. Still, I knew I'd done what I needed to do. The evidence was out there. Her reputation was in ruins, and she was gone from my life. I think the hardest part now is trying to piece everything back together. It's like I built a new foundation with broken pieces, and every day I have to remind myself that I'm better off without her. I don't miss the lies or the betrayal. What I miss is the person I used to be, trusting, naive, hopeful. That person is gone, replaced by someone who's learned the hard way that sometimes love isn't enough, that sometimes you have to fight to keep your dignity. Looking back, I realize I made a choice to stand up for myself, even if it was messy, to reclaim what was mine, and to remind everyone that betrayal doesn't go unanswered. I didn't do it out of malice or hatred, but out of a desperate need to feel in control again. To show them all that I wouldn't be walked over, not anymore. That I was willing to fight for myself, no matter what it took. And I also learned something about myself. I learned that revenge isn't just about hurting the other person. It's about breaking free from the pain they caused. It's about making sure they understand that their actions come with consequences. And I hope, somehow, that my story serves as a warning Trust carefully and don't be afraid to stand up when it's broken. So now, I move forward. I've cut her out completely, changed my routines, and started focusing on myself. I've gone back to the things I loved: reading, working out, reconnecting with old friends. The emptiness is still there, sure, but so is a new strength. I refuse to let her define me anymore. In the end, I want to tell anyone reading this: if you're in a similar situation, remember this. Your pain is real and it deserves respect. But don't let it consume you. Use it as fuel to rebuild, to grow stronger. Because even after betrayal, even after heartbreak, life goes on. And sometimes it's only after losing everything that you truly find yourself. The truth is, I don't regret what I did. I don't regret standing up for myself. Because in the end, the only person who can truly save you from betrayal is you. And I did.